Welcome back to our second session of the day. My name is Elizabeth from Business Helsinki, and I'm hosting the Finnish Technology Landscape track today. And for this session, I am joined by Harri Ketamo from Headai. Harri will be sharing about developments in AI and analytics, as well as tell us why the skills are more important than the technologies. If questions come to your mind during the session, please type them in the Q&A section during the talk. We will take them at the end. And if you cannot access the Q&A, try to change your browser or update your app. Otherwise, enjoy the talk and a warm welcome to Harri. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Great to be here, and welcome also to audience on my behalf. Like mentioned, today we are talking about skills, and especially why we should focus more on skills than job titles or technologies. But let's deep dive. Let's get started. If my slides change. Now, everybody is interested in what's the next big thing in AI. And I'm not talking about agentic AI, because agentic AI has been here already a few years. So it's not the next big thing. It's the starting of the current wave. In order to answer this question, what are the next big things? We have developed a method with which we can apply big data set and AI. Namely, we are as a company making our own, building our own index about job ads, what is demanded, about education, what is trained, investments in order to understand what's going to be there very soon because it's now invested. We are also indexing patents because patents are the background for the next technology generation, and of course research, because that's what brings the next 5 to 10 years horizon. And based on all these very versatile, differently written, not directly interoperable data sets, we are building this kind of maps where blue areas are emerging new topics, red areas are disappearing topics, light blue is always there and emerging, always increasing, and then yellow, orange areas are always there but decreasing. In the center, there are most strongest topics. But how to read this? In the center, there is like a core topics. But in the outer rim, there are those new, either disappearing or new topics. And when we are investing, no matter if we are investing money for something new or you are investing your time for studying something new, it is investment, both are investments. We most likely should focus on the outer rim, so the new stuff, but still keeping in mind that the center is important. Well, one of the new topics is chemical engineering in AI. It doesn't mean that AI is going to turn to chemical or chemicals, but it's rather that there is one emerging trend using AI to analyze different chemicals, design new, not elements, but molecule structures, new kind of chemicals. And then, of course, in research area, doing benchmarking in chemicals research. But these kind of new topics are really important in order to understand what is your future, and especially all the skills you have earned is still there. So there is no new chemical AI skills. It's a combination of chemical industry skills, AI skills, statistical skills. And that makes it highly important to understand that skills are not aging. They are always behind the new next big wave. Why the skills are important is that, well, in Europe, we are pretty much focusing on European competitiveness. Draghi's report, for example, is one. And as a company, we have helped EU as well as World Bank or United Nations to build more skills-driven curriculums, skills-driven initiatives to invest on skills rather than something new technology that will anyway disappear or change in half a year. So that's why skills focus. On the other hand, I want to also highlight that there is no one AI. Artificial intelligence didn't come here 3 years ago with ChatGPT. AI has been here like 80, not 80, but 70 years. And there is a very much different types of AIs. Like we are today talking about ChatGPT, but it's just one implementation inside generative AI. While generative AI is one part of deep learning, which is one part of machine learning. And eventually AI is an umbrella of different, let's say, families, technologies, and methods. And in that sense, if some of you has done computer science in early 2000 and you are familiar with machine learning, most likely it takes only a few days to learn deep learning and generative when the background is there. And that's why you have a very good background. Or even let's say you have studied statistics in late 80s. All these 80s statistics like multivariable, structural equations, neural networks, they are still the core of machine learning. And that in that sense, deep learning and generative. So that's why those skills are in core, not the latest hype name for the technology. Second part, data. How we can understand these fat chains and let's say quite complex environment? Well, there is a lot of data available. Like mentioned earlier, if we think global data as an iceberg, the visible part at the tip of the iceberg, public data, is approximately 20% of the data. There are like job ads, research papers, investments, news, no matter if they are sports, economy, or technology. Most likely sports news doesn't that much effect on your technological skills demand, but economical and technological news are pretty relevant. Labor market reports, policy collections, patents, curriculums. So there is you just name it, a lot of data that we can consume in order to build models. What is demanded? What is skills demand now? What it might be in the future? And of course, then when we understand personal skills, we can start to build plans that what might be your future. But data is there. For example, in our models, we are reading job ads all over the planet. So understanding not only what happens in Finland, but also understanding what happens in different continents. Same with economic and tech news, which in fact are pretty relevant when it comes to the understanding the current trends and topics. Research articles are the most easiest one because research articles are meant to be public and global. So a lot of data available. But let's deep dive on methods, how we can build all this not interoperable data into models that are interoperable. Everything starts from single text. We are not using ChatGPT, we are not using Gemini, we have our own language models that are not meant to produce text. Our language models are meant to produce statistics. Sound boring? So let's deep dive in order to show that it's not that boring, but they are meant to do statistics. Here is an average job ad, information security expert, and then a description what the job ad is about. When our AI starts to read this job ad, it tries to recognize meanings from the sentences. So one sentence can contain meanings, now especially skills, technologies, tools, methods, job titles, industries, businesses. So something that is relevant from working point of view. And in the first sentence, there is information security expert, information security, which are of course connected because mentioned in the same sentence. In the second sentence, there are a lot of, let's say, single, very specific topics which are of course connected because they are in the same sentence. So inside the sentence, the topics usually are connected. I'm simplifying this a lot because in reality, things are connected in between the sentences, in between the text. But I'm simplifying this diagram in order to just like popularize how AI works. But it understands that inside the sentence, the meanings are connected. In the last sentence, there is training skills and communication skills. And now everything in my example is centered by information security, so that must be the main concept. And in this way, when we are normalizing the words, finding the meanings, we can turn any text to this kind of network model. We call them knowledge graphs. Knowledge graph is a network where there are normalized words and then connectors between the words. So new skill learned, if you didn't know earlier, knowledge graph, a network of words. And when we are reading millions of job ads, we start to understand the network of skills. What skills are related to other skills under what context? And this kind of very huge detailed network enables us to study that what skills are demanded if you are working in construction business in Helsinki and you are specialized in roofs. So what skills are demanded? Because there is a lot of material behind it. And of course, for a single job ad, while we understand what is the big picture, our AI understands that in previous text, the information security, in fact, was not the center word because in big model, the information security is part of cybersecurity. Data protection is very important as well as GDPR. And in this way, the language model can extend your data, job ad data in strong connections. And that helps when we are matching something. So let's go back to these trends and signals. Because now, when we turn back to training, universities, higher education institutes, as well as vocational schools or shorter trainings, they are providing skills relevant for you in labor market now and in the future. In university, of course, more in the future side, in short trainings right now. But all in all the courses should provide something that there is demand. This is a real example from Spring 22 for one university where we help the university to align their AI courses or AI modules to match the future demand. And we did it in a way that this is now university module core topics. One hexagon is one topic. And when we compare this module against what is right now trendy in research, we can end up on following type of visualization where green one is something where this university's AI module yields supply, and on the other hand, current latest research where they match. So green are matches. Blue one is something that they are teaching in the module, but there was not now research match on the latest trends and highlighting latest trends, not all the research, not the history, but just the latest trends. And then pink is something what is in the latest trends, but not in the research, not in the degree program. And that is the highly interesting area. We have to understand that universities, when they design their curriculums and courses, they know what is the mandatory background. So all the blue one is mandatory background in order to understand the AI. We are not saying that these are wrong topics because, for example, big data. Well, of course, you have to understand big data, no matter if it is studied or not, or is it trendy or not. But if you don't understand big data, it's very difficult to understand how AI works. So in that sense, those topics are the right one. But we are interested in pink one, what is right now missing. And in Spring 22, we could point out that there are emerging areas like large language models and legal aspects like EU law. And because we found that in 22 spring, the university did an update for degree program or this module during the summer. And in the autumn 22, they had large language models in their trainings, as well as EU law. And guess what? In 22 autumn, ChatGPT came out and everybody starts to talk about language models, and this university could say that, hey, we already have the language models in our degree programs. And even though it's only half a year earlier, it's still there. And that's the idea on trying to predict what's going to happen in the near future, because that university already had language models, so they didn't have to start to figure that is this ChatGPT something we should be interested, because they already had things there. And it's not only digital. Very often when we work with the universities or schools, they are working with this kind of printed maps, where this is exactly the similar map. This is for one Helsinki-based University of Applied Sciences and about green transition. But the same idea, they could plan that what we start to teach, because it's emerging in the research or investments, we are doing something related to it, but not exactly the topic. And basically, that's how they build their next curricula, which is labor market compliant. But all is based on skills. And that's why coming back to skills. In none of these examples, they were talking that we should do AI. Of course they should. Everybody is doing AI, and that's not an answer. But they understood that what inside AI? Let's take large language models and legal aspects in our education. That is the granularity level what we must speak. And my final example, how we can take skills to secure, let's say, your as well as Europe's competitiveness is LEAD's 2030 project, where we are with couple of partners around Europe. We are building for EU an understanding what kind of advanced digital skills we have to train to European citizens in order to make sure we have enough and versatile digital talent inside EU in order to, well, not only use American technology, but what most develop own competitive technologies, so Europe become more like business leader. Right now, the problem is that all the business happens in United States and China, and Europe is just following. But this is one of the initiatives where we want to be like, there is a 3 type of centers: States, EU, China in the future. And all this LEAD's 2030 idea is based on that we are applying publicly available data via European data spaces. There are examples like Green Deal data space or Enershare for energy. But with this data set, we can bring together like data analysis and then different kind of outputs. We bring the data together, remembering that there is a huge set of different data. And finally, we can produce this kind of, let's say, skills flows. On the left side, there are skills pockets. We call them skills pockets because cluster word was reserved for another reason. But skills pockets are topics under what are 100 to 500 single skills. Like, for example, there is a pocket called climate change, the second from the top. Climate change as a skills pocket includes technologies like measuring carbon dioxide emissions or circular businesses. So a lot of skills under climate change. But then these skills pockets, we limited the number of skills pockets to approximately 70 in order to make sure that all what we do is also readable for people, for professors, for decision makers, and eventually students and people who need the skills. But yes, coming back to skills pockets. So when we understand what kind of skills pockets there are, under skills pocket, every skill is related to each other. Like I showed in this information security job ad example, we could build like what skills are related to each other in a big picture. And then we connected those skills to technology areas. So how, for example, climate change skills pocket is affecting in different technology areas, data science, robotics, blockchain, Internet of Things, and so on. Different skills pockets affects to different technologies, but we were not surprised, but somehow, let's say, surprised that almost all the technology areas was affected by not all, but tens of different skills pockets. So this is the first observation. If you go from data science to robotics, you already have a lot of skills. If you are qualified in data science, you have a lot of skills in robotics because these skills pocket affects on different areas. Also sectorial. So when we go one step to right, the sectors, different technology areas are affecting all the sectors. So it's not that data science affects only on business. That's not true. It affects everything. And finally, when the changes happen on the right side, the horizon, when the change will happen. And now for education providers, as well as students, as for every European citizen, this should be somehow the very positive thing is that everybody do have skills that are still needed. And the difficult part is we have to understand how I update my skills to match in the technology and business sector where I want to work. And is it now or in 3 years? But the good thing is that all this can be modeled, and now the education providers can react on this, companies can react on this, and eventually every person, no matter student or worker, can benefit on it, that we understand the demand. And that's my message. So don't worry when there is a new technology. This is like XYZ AI. Don't worry. If you knew AI earlier, it is very easy to learn. You are not late. And in that sense, you don't have to learn new skills every 3 months. You have to just update your existing skills. And I think now it is a good time to go to questions. So I stop sharing and let's go to questions.
Really interesting presentation, Harri. And I guess many people, myself included, will be wondering maybe how does one access such data so we may know what are the future skills needed in our professions. Do you have any tips for that?
In fact, we are working with many partners, and in Helsinki, your labor market department, työllisyyspalvelut, do have this kind of data set. So I would say that you already have it. We have a couple of, as a company, we are working with our partners. So we are not providing direct consumer services, but for example, some of our partners, City of Tampere, YTK Employment Fund, they have their interfaces that are applying our technology, and would be super cool that we can provide for Business Helsinki some kind of data for your business and employment services. So
yeah, I guess this is quite a new thing that registered job seekers might soon be able to access then.
Yes, and that's our goal also, because there are already that many services that when we started, we are 10 years old company. We decided that we are not building a new system. We provide tools, technologies, data, insights for existing organizations and systems in order to avoid a new tech layer, but bringing more like intelligence to existing ones.
There's one question about people who might be less technical. What would be the skill sets and opportunities in AI and analytics for them?
All right. So I would say that if we isolate analytics and AI now for a second, in analytics part, the work are everywhere. If you have mathematics or let's say business accounting background, in every organization, every business, there is demand for analytics. Even in sports, in football or ice hockey, they are doing a lot of statistics behind coaching the players. So analytics is everywhere. Just go and ask. And then in AI, I would say that there are different levels. So right now, when generative AI is producing more and more text, maybe it's not enough that you can use ChatGPT, because that's like I would say new calculator. Like nobody is calculating anymore in their brains. They are using like calculator or Excel. Generative AI is or ChatGPT is pretty much the same. So prompting ChatGPT was a skill 2 years ago, but it's not anymore. Now the AI skills are more. If you are technical, just apply. If you are not technical, think that how you can bring something to organizations with AI. So it's not only that, hey, I can prompt to ChatGPT, but say that I'm pretty good on developing very fast marketing messages with AI in a second. I just hear something, turn it to text. So thinking that how you boost your existing skills with the AI capabilities. And then once again, your skills are there, they are forever, but now you are like adding a boost and then say that, hey, I've always done this kind of stuff. Now I'm doing it even more productive way with AI. That's maybe the tip for non-technical people.
Are those skills maybe something that we all should also be acquiring regardless of occupation? What do you think?
I would say that should be curious with a purpose. And that might be now the thing that you can find that if someone is interested on baking or cooking, how you can use different tools. And now maybe the ChatGPT is not the answer, but is there interesting tools, for example, generating images that when you have done something, I don't know, but be curious, test new things, and don't get limited that when you get the output, you are happy, but how you are going to apply that output in something what you already are good at, then there is more power with it. But my let's say best tip I can give is that be curious with purpose and test tools.
Yes, very good tip. Then there are a lot of questions about moving to Finland and working in this sector. Can you tell us something about the Finnish job market, working in Finland? Is Finnish needed? Can you work in English in this sector? And
yes,
yeah,
I would say that
anything
it
you
is
have
pretty
to.
much on sectoral dependent. In some areas, Finnish is very much demanded. Like I'm not expert, but I can assume in a industries which are traditional, working in groups and the immediate communication is required, then the Finnish is demanded. But for example, in software business, in artificial intelligence, analytics, data, I would say all the companies are already working in global markets. So if the English is not the working language now, it is very easy to turn or take partially in English. We are 10 people company and our working language is English because we have 4 nationalities working at Headai. So in that sense, it is highly dependent on industry. And if you face that you can't get employed when you don't speak Finnish, try again, because there are a lot of jobs which are available in English, but I don't want to give you too positive also, because there are jobs that requires Finnish. So depending on industry, data software analytics is pretty English, while some of the more traditional businesses are more Finnish oriented. And of course, Swedish, don't forget that. So if you already know Swedish, in the coastal side of Finland, Swedish is equally okay working language.
Yeah. And last question, if somebody is thinking now about a career in either AI related things, technical things, analytics, which would be the direction that you would recommend out of all of these based on this presentation and the data you showed? What would be the first step for them to take if they don't know about this but are interested on the technical side? What would be your suggestion?
I'd say there are a lot of self-learning materials available, also free materials. So if you go to Coursera or Udemy, or even in Finnish Open University offering, there are a lot of courses, shorter or longer. But I would say that if you do a collection of good courses in 3 months, you can familiarize yourself that much that you start to recognize that do you want to take even a degree on that. But don't rush on degree. You can start with online materials, free courses to first study out that is this more technological approach for you, or do you prefer to turn to project management, productization, design? There are still all these, let's say, traditional directions available, even in the age of AI, because AI is not replacing you. It is the people who are using AI in a clever way that are going to run the labor market.
Yeah, we see that already happening, so it's very true. All right, thank you a lot,
Good.
Harri, for this presentation. And now we are going to have a coffee break time, and it's another networking opportunity for you if you haven't checked the employer booths yet. That is also something interesting to do during this event. And we will be continuing in a little over an hour with a deep dive into the Finnish quantum technology landscape with 2 pro speakers of the industry. See you soon.